Welcome to our February AI workshop here. We're going to jump right into it. We got quite a bit of fun and exciting things to go through this month. So we've had everything from almost every major model has released something impressive. Deep research is the big tool that I'm going to be showing, and it is just absolutely game changing. I have been using that extensively this month, and it actually came out right after our January meeting, so I wasn't able to show everyone it. But we also got Grok 3 that came out with a deep research component as well. Claude 3.5, or 3.7, which really is it's a coding king, which a lot of people on this meeting here might not be coders, but I'm going to show you some of the stuff that this thing can do because you might decide to start becoming one. And then last night at around 8 o'clock, ChatGPT dropped their newest model, 4.5. So we'll play around with that a little bit. But what we're going to start out with is this deep research capability. And I believe this came out on every model that, so if you have the pro version and even the free version, I think gives you the deep research down here. And what this deep research does is so I can go ahead. Now it takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So this will sit in the background and I'll come back to it a couple times as we're doing this. But it will sit here and I can search for, um, I would like to know more about how AI can be used. Now we're not going to talk about AI. Let's go and search. I would like to build a mobile camper. Can you research how to do that and create a project plan? So what I'll do is I'll ask you a bunch of qualifying questions. In this example, what type of base vehicle? I'm like, I see a bunch of cool videos of vans. I want a bed for me and my wife and our dog. Budget is about 20,000. Expected timeline for the project. Let's go 6 months. And that's all I'm going to answer there. So now what it will do, it'll actually go out there on the internet and start searching and giving you a really in-depth report on that particular topic. And for those in this call, you can go ahead and apply this to almost any area of your business you want to. If you're looking at a new piece of equipment, if there's a new HR law that came out and you wanted to do some research on it, it will go and find a bunch of information. And then while it's doing that, give you cited sources. So legal research, legal review. We'll come back to this, but I'll show you a couple I've already done. So like this one here, I wanted it to act as a search engine optimization specialist for me. So I had it go and Coulee Tech is our company name, a couple of competitors in different markets. So I just went on Google and searched who are some of the top ones, Eau Claire, Madison. And then it asked me questions like your company URL, specialties, target audiences. And I'm like, yep, these are what we do. And then it went and spent 8 minutes, found 24 sources. If I click on those, it'll show me all the sources it went. And it's just going back and forth. Like if I click back on here, it's evaluating and doing these searches. At the end, it gave me a really in-depth search engine optimization audit that showed all the different areas with links on why it thinks that, recommendations, one page, what I can do to fix my SEO to improve our rankings, keyword analysts, and as you see, it's a quite long report, but this is a giant report. Now, if you have a firm do this, you're going to normally spend $3,000 to $20,000, and it is quite a range because it depends on the specialty and the size of your market. But just to get a report of this level. So yeah, there it goes, super long, right? Well, at the end, I actually had it go through and start building the site for me. So that way I'm like, all right, well, if this is what you're recommending, build me my site structure and let's see how this looks. Another example I had is a number of these web browsers are starting to change their privacy policy where they have the rights to the policy, to the data that's put inside of them. Well, I wanted to see, all right, what is this? How does it impact, especially like PII data or sensitive data like medical records? Because there's a lot of web-based electronic medical record system, which are just referred to as EMRs. So I went and had it go and do a research. Again, spent 12 minutes, went and found 27 sources, and then gave me a report with cited sources that I can go review further to make sure I agree with the citation that it came out with. But it basically talks through from a HIPAA perspective on how do the different web browsers, Microsoft Chrome, best practices, Firefox, and Mozilla, just how do they configure themselves so that way uh, obviously they are still used for health systems, but does this negatively impact their use in HIPAA? Do they need to be configured separately with these new policies? And this is research that would probably take me a day to do, and it takes 12 minutes now. And then I just go and verify that the data is accurate. And another one I did this morning is this week the US government passed a new federal budget. Now this is Grok 3 with deep search on it. I want to see, all right, what are some of the key features of the new budget? And I could go and spend tons of hours looking at news sources and such, or I can just start curating it to what I care about specifically. So here it talks about, the $1 trillion decreased spending, um, what type of cuts, and I might be able to go ahead or I could just go and ask this too then. All right, so how will this impact small businesses in Wisconsin? What are some of the key takeaways? So its deep research is going through. It has already searched for 10 websites on this before it's giving me my response. And Grok I found is very, very quick, whereas ChatGPT is taking a decent amount of time to get each of these responses back. It is actually, Grok is doing it in normally 30 seconds or so. So here I did the same type of thing. This one's still going, it looks like. Maybe it didn't like that I ran two of them at once. Oh, no, it just ran. It ran. So here's its summary of the budget off that one prompt. So I typed the same prompt in there. What are key takeaways? It went for 8 minutes, found 36 sources, and then wrote me this giant research paper on it. Then I could go ahead and ask it, could you summarize this in 5 main key takeaways for a small business in Wisconsin? And here I'm not having to do another search. It's just going to summarize the data it already found. And this was with the 04 mini model. Then I had to also do the same type of thing from a deep research perspective with a 4.5 model. And it builds a customized report for me. And I might do the same thing. Can you create a summary of this and highlight how it will impact a small business in Wisconsin? And while it's researching that, we can go back to our first one here. It's already, yeah, I got it. It has another giant. Can you summarize for me? Make it short. Oh, I accidentally put deep research on. And I do find I do that enough that if I accidentally leave this on again, it'll go through and do another deep research on it, which sometimes you don't want to do that because you just want something quick. So here's a concise, 5 takeaways. Here's the tax cuts, increased costs to Medicaid and social, education department. And if you are in manufacturing or if you're in government work, you could go ahead and target this to how will it impact someone in a federal government or in a state government or in a manufacturer, in a real estate, or you can highlight it to focus specifically on the areas you're looking for or you might find of interest. If we go back to our Yeah, see, this thing's still searching here. So, but this is one of these tools that isn't as easy to demo, but it is just beyond powerful because we spend a lot of our days, especially those in leadership or if you're in HR or any type of position where you have to do a lot of data searching. We go to Google and we just spend hours trying to find the perfect solution. Well, this will do hours and hours of research for you in a matter of minutes. I normally find myself, I have two or three of these running at any given time on the side while I'm just doing my regular work. So therefore I'm working on something, I see it gets done, I go look at it, I'm like, all right, that looks good. How would it affect whatever my next thing is looking for? So is there anything that someone would like to see me research before we move on beyond the research stuff? Nothing. All right.
I'm watching the chat for any questions that come up, and also just let everybody know just to ask if you have any questions. Feel free just to bring them up.
Yeah. This tool, when it came, so I could geek out about this for probably a whole hour, but it becomes very boring to watch someone geek out about stuff that they're not interested in. So it really is a highly tailored aspect that it will help you research any aspect you want and then give you a report like you had someone with a doctorate degree sitting in your back office that will just research whatever you want and give you a giant report at the end of it. So if you're spending time looking at new business process, new sales, because you can also like if you know different sites that you have requests for proposals on, or yeah, however you find new sales, this can research those sites for you and find deals that you could go ahead and bid on. So anything someone's doing on a website, this tool here can do for you so that way you don't have to go and sift through tons and tons of information to get to that point. So
Rod,
Rockster,
I can speak on that just a second from my perspective. So one of the things I'm involved with a number of nonprofits, and as many probably you are, and so either some facet or whatever. So like this deep research could come in handy if you're doing like let's say maybe grants. You need grants for funding or things like that. Going out and finding grants that are tailored to your organization or foundations that are out there. You can even go as specific if you want it to be a directed fund focused to a specific cause, or undirected funds for general operational expenses. And think of, if any of you have ever worked with hiring a grant writer or anybody like that, it's a pretty extensive and expensive cost there. Something like with this deep research can curb a lot of the research time it would take to find those grants. And then obviously, through the resources and past experiences in our workshops, you could go through and easily fill out those grant reports through the AI as well.
yeah. So I'd say let's take a look at that. So here I have let's look online for create 5 grants for low income child. So we're gonna find some federal grants, Head Start. I was actually just talking to someone from Head Start, and some of the cuts that they were doing almost shut down that program last week. So they were literally looking at that they may have to shut their doors last week. So it looks like that got changed. But here it shows specific areas to, and I just did it for low income childcare type stuff. And we could do that inside this area as well, where, and as you saw, it just takes a lot longer on this one, but this one will do, I think, a better job searching. Well, this is really going to town on our, yeah, it's still searching. So yeah, some of these can take, I've had them take 15 to 30 minutes if it doesn't feel it has a good enough response yet. Yeah, here it's searching for a Ford Transit camper interior. So it's actually designing what type, and if we could just highlight this, I asked it to build me a $20,000 camper, and it goes through and searches online, gets information, what type of vans are being used for it. It just keeps going around and around and gathering tons of more information as a result of it. And both Grok and ChatGPT, this is a new capability of theirs. So you want to go and put the advanced research and reasoning on there, or you can do advanced thinking. It'll just sit there and think on its own, but it won't pull extra information off the internet. But these are a big keyword in the world is agentic, which is basically just a bunch of AI that are also AIs evaluating each other. And this will do that, where these are basically swarms of AI that it looks at the data, it has a QA AI looks at it, it has a question AI, and it'll just sit there and search back and forth. It's like, is this actually useful information? And it is, it's quite powerful. But so we'll move on from the. Oh yeah, here we finally got our camper. So here it said it took 8 minutes. That might be accurate. I think it took a little longer, but uh, build a mobile camper. It went online, found interior, maintenance, new versus used, layout design. And I could say, could you get me a location on where to buy the items for the build out? Get me a bill of material with links for where I could buy it. If I click the deep research on it, it'll then go start searching the internet to create that bill of material for me, and should give me a list of where I could go buy those things. And of course, it asks me for. So if you're someone like me who hates getting asked questions, this annoys me sometimes, but I know I'm going to get a better response as a result of it. So I just uh, online retailers are fine. And you see, I'm not even answering all the questions. It'll just guess if it doesn't. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. So while that's going, I'm actually going to move on to Claude 3.7.
Hey, Rod, Jeff has a question here.
All right. What's the question?
Hey, I'm just curious about that where it asked you where you're from or where you want to know it. Ask you if you're in the US or whatever. Is that something that you can build into your profile for this so it would kind of always know that?
You know, it. What's funny is it does know I'm in the U.S. So I don't know why it asked that. Um,
I'm just thinking if as we get into these different models, if you start building a profile on you, so it doesn't have to ask you those questions. Does that
so
make
let me
sense?
see. What info do you know about me?
Oh boy,
Where
here
do
we
I
go.
live and such? I've done this before, and normally, I mean, it gets pretty. Oh yeah, yeah. So when we talked about agentic, you see how it's just kind of referencing. I have a. Huh. I wonder if it's model specific. So here I switched over to 4.0. All right, that's interesting. So depending on put, oh hey, look at that, I'm a pastor.
Rev Rod, we got Rev Rod on the call here, everybody.
But yeah, so what's interesting about that is ChatGPT 4.0 has learned stuff. Now I've talked. I'm not a pastor, but I've talked to a number of pastors. So I come in here like, hey, I'm a pastor, creating a sermon, show me how to do that, and then I show it. So the AI thinks I'm a pastor because I've told it to act as one before, right? Um, yeah. So I'm an AI driven marketer. Uh, I do play Knights and Cities. Have Kraft mac and cheese in my cupboard. That's true. All right. So interesting there is this model here does know stuff personally on you. This model here does not know anything personally on you.
Okay, interesting.
So that is it is interesting. Oh, look at there. So here, it created a full, sorry, bringing us back in context. This is doing the deep research, and we're having it build us out a mobile van. It did a bunch of research on it. Then I asked it for a bill of materials that I could start working with, and online are fine. So it compiled a list for about 20,000, and then here's links then. Yeah, to all the. All right, so come on, you're gonna make me a liar, aren't you? Weed killer. Great stuff. So it still has some work to do. So it gives you links, just none of them actually go to the product you're looking for. But it looks like they're actual products though, so you could download them. But all right. So we have to wait for our next model then to be able to do that really effectively. But it's better than nothing in my opinion. I might use this for billing out my glamper. All right. Well, I'm actually gonna. So let me move back then. We're gonna go talk about Claude 3.7. Now, Claude 3.7, what it's really powerful at is software development. Now, most of you are not software developers on here. I realize that. An interesting stat I heard this week is that 1/3 of all AI prompts are software development prompts, which I thought was a huge percentage of the population that's using this. But let me share this. So stick with me a little bit on this because there are other applications to this. But so this here is what's called an IDE. So this is what most software developers use. So if you guys are using like QuickBooks or any line of business software, this is the line of business software for a software developer. VS Code is also another popular one, but we use Cursor because it's an AI embedded tool. Now, what I started out this morning, I wanted to create an example. So I wanted to create a single file demo of the coding ability. So I wanted to create a social media page that was modernish, simulated, but this is all I told it to do. I misspelled it's what should say HTML in the back there, but I fixed that too. This page is only for demo, and I will use you to edit it. So that's what I told it to do. Everyone sees that. Sees pretty simple. It went through and created the structure, created the page for me. And then there was an error that I had to fix in it, or it fixed it. But so with a single prompt, it went through and did this. I got all this data together. And let me show you what it built. So it built this page right here. Now, most of you look at this, it looks very similar to a Facebook login. You have a number of different things. Even you have the Facebook Marketplace look on there, little user profile. But it built this, this is what it output out of a single prompt. So I can go ahead and our home at Coulee.tech, a really cool password. And I told it just to simulate login because I don't actually want to put authentication on the back of it. So I click login, and now I have a now it's all simulated data on the backside. It's all pretend, but that's a pretty decent looking, yeah, its like button works. I haven't even clicked around to see what works and what doesn't. But for those that are not software developers, you could build this by just asking it to do what I told it to do. Well, let's go in. We're going to go in. This here's a marketplace icon. I want to show you how easy some of the software developers. And I saw Jordan joined. I know he's a software developer. And this here has some pretty decent implications for how you guys do software development as well. And if you go look at the recording, Jordan, I also showed some search engine optimization researching tools on here. But so I could say, I would like you to build out a emulated marketplace. I see you have an icon for it. Keep it in the single file as a single page web app, but build out the UI and functionality to simulate a marketplace and have the marketplace icon you have in it be how I access it. So now it'll sit here and think, much like you saw in the researching stuff. It's looking at my code base. It's creating its plan. So it wants to create a marketplace UI, added functionality, hide the main feed when you do it, design it. It's going through and doing all the coding for me now. Here it's adding the marketplace colors. And as it's doing this, it's just reading all the code. This is well beyond most in this room's ability to do, and it's even above my own. Jordan might be able to do this for us, but other than him, very few people will be able to do this level where doing CSS, and it's even going out there and finding where like it threw Bootstrap in there. This here CDN is just a global way, so you don't have to download custom frameworks that will allow you to make it look nice. It goes and finds its own. And it's going in and continuing to build it as it does. Then it goes and evaluates it, adds a little feature, evaluates it, adds a little feature into it. Adding the navigation links in here. That's what nav link is. Let's expand this a little more so you can see more of the code. It looks like it's using Font Awesome, which is another library. Just think of them as picture libraries to make things look nice. There, it gives you a summary at the end, what it did. Now, I could go and review these and review the code if I wanted to. We're not going to do that. I'm just going to click accept. Now, if I come back over here, go this is cool. So there, I have a fully made shopping cart now that does my new, like you literally watched it build this right here.
Rod, to give context for people maybe who aren't developers or anything like that, I mean, what would somebody, I mean, on average, from our past experience, would you be looking at to have somebody do this in the past?
Boy, even just to get a mock-up of this type of stuff and to have it as a working mock-up, I mean, I would bet you're talking 40 to 80 hours of work that I just did in 30 minutes. I mean, Jordan was on here, right? I know he likes to be called out.
Yeah, he's here. It looks like he might be on hold, so I don't know if that means he had to step away.
We won't call him out here, but yeah. If there's any other developers on here though, but just to give context of how much time this would take, I don't think a week of development, even just 6 months ago, is out of the question to get a customized build of something like this up and running. Whereas now, like, I mean, you guys, is there something else someone would like me see me add to this that to show that I'm not, you know, having anything pre-built on it? Like this was literally created this morning. Well, look at it. Even the filters work. So it's simulated data. Now to get this operational, all you have to do on the backside of this then is to find out where does your data come from. Normally just it's called a query. You just write a query to your database and you put that data, you stitch that data together, and this would be a working website. And at Coulee Tech, even this week, we're working on like our with our account management team to give our clients live portals of all their data and data that they can see. I mean, stuff again that would have taken weeks and weeks of software development. We're throwing together in a matter of an hour. Like I was talking with Aaron yesterday as well about he's in our account management team, and we're like, hey, what data do you want when you go meet with clients? He's like, well, I'd love to have this, and he's showing. He's like, man, that is just awesome. Where you can just for us, we're changing like, well, let's talk Windows 10 because those got to get updated or multi-factor authentication and but for each of your guys' business, whether or not you're yeah, you can take data that is in a really ugly format right out of QuickBooks, right out of your CRM data, and almost instantly visualize it for internal use with little to no effort.
Let's add a chat feature to it.
I think it already had that.
Did it?
But yeah, let's go ahead and add chat. That is great. Remember, you always got to be nice to your AI, right? Because eventually they might be our boss. That is great. Now from the home page, I would like to add emulated chat. So I can click on a contact and start a chat. Can you have 5 to 10 generic responses that when I chat, the contact responds back with? Have it pop up. So like from this, I'm not asking to do anything extremely technical. You know, I'm not using technical language. I'm just using our plain regular language. We'll click submit, and then we'll watch it do some magic again. And while it's running through this, another use case, Google this week launched their scientist assistant. And when they launched that, there are a number of peer research articles that were using this, that the AI came to the same conclusion as some of the AI peer reviewers, where the scientists literally contacted Google, like, do you guys look at my home computer or my personal computer here? Because like what the AI told them about these different peer reviewed papers were what they were literally writing in response to the peer review where the AI science assistant for that Google is releasing to scientists now is doing the same type of concept here, but rather than from a code perspective, it's looking at different data from medical or whatever, climate, at whatever their particular field is. The advanced logic that this is using is building that into it. So the whether we're talking the research stuff that I showed earlier or this type of workflow, science research, all of those are going to be highly impacted by this ability to search some type of external data and then bring it back into the context of the AI and then make changes as a result of that. And both from this coding perspective here and the deep research stuff I've shown you on the other screen, they're all the same logic and function applied in different areas. So with each of you guys, as you look in your individual business, you want to look at how can this type of stuff really impact your personal business. So we'll go ahead and let's go look at our social media page again. Test, log in. All right, so now if I, all right, thanks. How are you? Yes. Just trying to make conversation. All right. But that is pretty good, right? Do you understand? That would be awesome. So here I literally made it so it pops it up. It works nicely, right? Uh, and it is simulating response. It even has the right time on there. So this might be because I'm a super geek, right? But seeing this live in action is just
That's wild, man. I don't.
Yeah.
That's
And
actually
Aaron can probably appreciate a little bit. So he's been our champion of software development for 5 years. So he knows how getting this type of functionality to a client, how much he has to put his software developers in headlocks to get something anywhere near this level actually to them. And literally, we've charged clients tens of thousands of dollars to deliver far less superior products than what you're seeing right here.
I would say actually it's like 6 months to a year worth of investment of time to have everything you just saw right there in this short little bit. So to put context, like it's mind blowing, guys. Like, yeah, that's that.
Yeah,
Well, I
it
think
literally like
the other thing.
if I saw this like 6 months ago or a year ago, I would think the person literally had this stuff all pre-developed on the backside and they're just lying to everyone. And I promise you, I am not. I made this whole software is less than an hour old.
I didn't even know Rod was going to do this morning, guys. So just full disclosure. So everything I talked to him about was completely unscripted.
Well, I think the other thing that's really cool is, you know, there's this whole change process, right? So you deliver the product, and then the customer is like, well, I'd really like it to do this, and then it has to, go through the telephone game and make a change and all that stuff, and you're sort of eliminating a lot of that,
Oh yeah.
because you
Yeah,
can make
because
those changes
that's really
almost
what
live.
that's what Aaron has been doing these last 5 years with our software. Like he goes and has an hour-long meeting with the client. They go through all the changes. He goes and documents out, all right, this is what the client actually wants to do from a user experience perspective. Then he goes, writes that out into tickets, and then he goes, meets the client or the software developer for about an hour. So he can make sure he explains to them the user experience that the client is looking at. The software developer goes and spends a week trying to develop it, gives it back to Aaron a week or two later. Aaron goes and reviews it. Then he goes and meets with the client. Like that cycle time itself. And I mean, it is just I mean, the labor time is it's mind boggling how much. Whereas this here, I mean, it literally feels like I'm playing with magic.
And to talk to an everyday person sometimes is a challenge for a lot of people. But then when you're talking what somebody in an everyday world wants, and then you have to translate it to a developer, and I would say I'm advanced for the average person to talk to a developer at this point, but I wasn't when I started out. And there definitely is different ways to speak to developers, and this is just wow. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. Jordan's back with us now. He he did.
I just realized my camera is off. I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right.
I'm hopping in and out of calls right now, so this go live is still a pain.
That's all right. You'll have to go back and watch the recording of what we just created. Your mind,
Yeah, no, I saw a few snippets, like some software dev there. That was speedy and awesome.
we literally live added a chat to a platform.
Yeah, I'll
that's
quick
sweet.
highlight it for you, Jordan, so that way you get a quick overview of it. So this entire here, let's just refresh it.
Yeah.
This entire thing was made in under an hour, like from scratch. I didn't tell it to use any framework or any social media, anything. It literally just built the entire thing from scratch. And I told it to create its own simulated data. So here I log in. It has an emulated shopping cart in it that has filters on the top. I go and search, these here. Like here's another, like this was coming out there. We can go fix that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we just told it to create a emulated chat. So then it built the chat in there. So I click on the contacts and I go, hey, how can I help you? Yo. And then it emulates chat back to me as well.
That's wild.
But yeah, like you guys could have, I don't know if you guys are using Cursor or not, but like this here, like Tim says that almost 95% of all of his code now is all AI built. He just goes and he's really more of a quality assurance. Like you're looking at this, like that's a little bit off there. That's really more what he sees his job as, is making sure the AI did it correctly. And the new Claude, Claude 3.7 this week, like last week, this wasn't possible. This week it is.
Aaron and Rodney, it's interesting because when I first started joining these meetings, you were talking to me about our ERP RFP that we were going through. And you're like, give it a year and you won't need an HRIS. I give it 6 months and you won't, with the programming capability that AI. And what's kind of ironic about that is our HRIS request, we couldn't provide the ROI that it would bring to our team. So we held off on it. And I'm looking at this and I am geeking out because I think that I could figure out something to where we feel, we're able to use our data and present it and engage our employees, even employee self-service for benefits and stuff, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, you could get Cursor installed on your computer and it just wouldn't it's not hard to do. I mean, like I am not a developer. I mean, I have 20 years experience working with software developers and I can do HTML code and I can briefly understand. I mean, I'm higher than most, right? But I'm not I start talking to like Jordan or Tim or any of those, they'll start talking about things that I just pretend to understand, right?
You had a MySpace back in the day that you did HTML coding,
yeah.
So
Yeah, I understand. Like, look, there's tags here, and I like JavaScript. I can kind of understand, but I still have no idea how the data is actually flowing through that stupid software. It's like I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And Tim's like, yeah, you just do this dot thing here. I'm like, no, where's my PHP where I call my function? And he's like, PHP's dead. I'm like, no, it isn't. Anyway, but yeah, so like, and being that, like you saw, I didn't even look at my code, right? Like I'm just gonna reshare it. And again, I'm geeking out a little bit on this because but it is just like this is the code that it wrote, and it's nice code. I mean, and this so in less than an hour,
how many lines is that,
1,500 lines.
So yeah, every aspect of that platform is outlined in this 1,400 lines. So anytime you're looking to make an edit, let's say even to a widget, like that filter widget where the padding was off, you would have to search out where that widget is, and then you'd have to define where that max.
Let's fix that right now. Like in the marketplace, the price range goes outside the box.
Widget margins, if you want to
I'm
be
just gonna call it
specific.
box because a non-software developer might not be able to know that.
That's fair.
Can you make it so it fits inside? So that, like, if Jordan got a request from this, he would have to have a meeting with him. Like, hey, can I know exactly what you're talking about here, right? Because I mean, it just even this is not descriptive enough for a software developer normally to take action on. Now, maybe if they're extremely familiar with that particular component, we'll just click submit, and we'll see how it does. But my brother Tim was playing with it this week, and he sent me a message yesterday. He's like, "This 3.7 feels like a developer, whereas like Sonnet or Claude before, he said felt like a junior developer, like a fresh college grad, where it could do stuff, but you had to spend a lot more time making sure it was doing it correctly. Whereas this here, unless you're doing really advanced stuff, it was just like, no, it seems to be doing pretty well. Let's just go and refresh. Here, we're gonna bring in the new code. Test. Yeah, there we go.
All right, you got to share that screen if you're showing
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
We only see your developer screen
You
here.
guys can't see my eyeballs?
No.
So that's here. That's fixed now, so I can make it.
Wow.
Yeah, it even has breakpoints. It has.
I can't, man. That is just unreal. Yeah.
And this website looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah. I can't believe that, man. That is so many hours, you guys. I can't even tell you how many hours
And
for something
even the
like
simulated data, it tagged this as clothing. It put actual clothing in there, right? I mean, like, man, it's just.
Gosh, now
All
I
right.
want to put real data in there and see what it does.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you the code and you can try talking to your internal people to get them that.
Yeah. Send me a bill.
But we could try customizing it as an HRIS if you wanted to. So a social HRIS.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like,
all right, let's do that. Hold on. Let's all right. This is great, but could you rework it and make it like it is an HRIS system with employee info and a dashboard on what is happening at a company and company new forms, and change it out to be an internal HR information system with a social media feel to it. Let's see what it does. So here it's going to change the theme and color to be more corporate, update the content to be HR focused, add HR specific features like employee directory, dashboards, keep the social media feel aspect, but repurpose them for internal company communications. It's going to rename it to Staff Connect or Work Hub. Change the sidebar, convert posts to company announcements, modify the marketplace to be forms and documents. That all sounds accurate.
I can't even right now with this. This is.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. This is so cool.
Rodney, you might not want to show me this, man. I might have to hang my hat up here, and I think I found a profession I'm going to go into here.
Yeah.
People that don't want to go through the process of learning this. No, this is crazy.
It is, but we're going to see this roll out to all of our professions, right? Like, because you're looking at coding, which was an extremely complicated industry. And now we're seeing this, that we can speed that up in accounting, right? If you have your entire, you're trying to reconcile everything, imagine being able to just tell it, hey, can you go look at previous months and go on Reddit? And it sits there and does this type of stuff for you. And then you just click approved on it, right? Or if you're looking at hiring a new employee, you can have it look at all your resumes and say, hey, which ones really think would work well? It goes and starts them all like, hey, these ones here are the ones that I think are great. So we'll see a lot more of that as this type of technology works its way into our other industries. And it's important for us to see like where are ways we can actually apply this.
Like one thing that I'm thinking about it with the new ERP that we chose, we're kind of creating this policy group that will meet on a regular basis and make recommended changes. And, you know, we use SharePoint and that sort of thing for our intranet. But I am thinking, because people get intimidated if they don't know how to navigate that, if we had a dashboard that was like the keeper of the policies where you could check out a policy, you know, that sort of thing. I am just, my mind is blown right now. I don't even know what.
Well, you could actually, because SharePoint has APIs that
Yeah.
you could pull all your SharePoint documents into a form like this, and then
Yeah.
you could build either a custom search. It could go through and custom tag everyone. So like when I was showing, here, I'll stop sharing this. You guys know it's sitting there in the background doing its thing, right? So you could have this where these icons are the different types of documents you're looking for. And these are like the total documents that are having there. And they can send you a message where it go to an HR like yourself and, hey, I have a question on this policy here. And you can just respond back in a system like this. That's how this one hurt. And then just build a knowledge base for that particular document as a whole.
That is just crazy. Especially if you are working with limited revenue sources, to have folks doing this, you know, like our IT department, you know, if they knew how to use this, or if they're doing this, they might be up for it, but they don't want to program things for us, you know, outside of what their normal day-to-day is.
Yep, yeah, they don't. I can guarantee it. Which is why most IT teams are actually more of brakes than they are gas for AI deployment, because
Right.
AI does not work perfectly, and they're going to have to support it when they get someone calling and saying, hey, this didn't work right. I'm like, well, did you run it again? No. Or they don't want to have to spend all their time training everyone how to use AI.
Correct.
But yeah, this will be on the dashboard here in about an hour after the meeting. You could show them this and say, hey, this here looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and deploy this. Or if you look at the money you guys are spending on your ERP system, this could probably replace your ERP system pretty quickly.
It's too soon for that. We just signed.
Yeah. Well, I have it in recording that I told you to wait, so. But anyone on this call or even listening to the recording, if you're looking at making major software purchases, I would highly encourage you hold off, because you're looking at 6 months to a year. This here is the worst AI software developers we're ever going to have. They're going to have better and better and better ones moving forward, and be able to take much better information. All right, so that's done. Let's see what happens here. Oh, so now we're Work Hub. See that? So we log in. We got time off. We have documents. We have performance. We have benefits. We have training. Here's our forms and documents. We have PDFs, Excel. Man, this is search by department. Yeah, we were literally just talking about that, where you could tag the different documents if you wanted to. You could starve them, save them.
This will
This
become.
this
This is mind
this is
blowing.
crazy. Yeah.
Like I
I
might
see
go and just
something.
make this weekend and put it online.
I see something
Yeah,
similar
for
coming
your
to
own
our.
business, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean,
Yeah, I was just gonna say this will be coming to Coulee Tech employees soon.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Aaron, even for us, like this is a beautiful platform for our clients to log into, right? This looks way better than our current portal.
Tim, if you're watching this, don't take
He's
offense,
not
please.
watching it. He's like, I don't need your stinking
Later.
AI meetings here, you know? Again, another great example of super genius guy who doesn't want, but he's actually much more open to AI now than he used to be.
I love that it even timestamps, like last updated this date.
Uh-huh.
Like,
You could go ahead. It would not be hard then to take this what it is right now and just go build the API so it pulls in all your SharePoint documents and then loads them in
yeah,
here. And then you have an AI that goes and looks at each document and auto tags them. So you create your tags and then it goes and it will go ahead and tag all your documents so it'll filter that. And I'm just speaking out loud about what I'm going to do at Coulee Tech here in the next week, I think.
well, share it with me so I don't.
Well, the hard part is that your IT needs to give us an API key to your internal documents. Otherwise, I can't do it.
I have it. I made them give it to me already.
You have an API key?
Yeah.
What do you use an API key for?
So I'm the only one that uses Power BI.
All
And
right, you do have an
yes,
API key.
yeah.
Well,
So I've
tell you what,
been.
we'll see about that. Because I could build a configurer in here, so you just configure and upload or add in your own API key, and then
Yeah.
it will pull your documents in.
That is insane.
But
What
no,
if
I am
like
over
I
the
have
moon.
an API key for our applicant tracking system too. Like,
Yeah, and look at it. Yeah, upcoming events,
oh my gosh.
employee directory.
This is easily a six-figure like past product.
Yep.
Not even like remotely. Like Microsoft paid, like Facebook
Well,
paid
anyone who's
millions to
used
have something like this.
Salesforce, this here just killed Salesforce, a multi-billion-dollar company. And I wasn't planning on going this far into this thing. I created this to see if it could do it this morning. And not only did it do it, it did it very, very well.
That is crazy. Thank you for doing that. Now I know what I'm doing the rest of the day.
You're going to go download Cursor and then get Cursor going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get Cursor and you just go get a Claude API. And again, I'd be happy to help you set that up if you want to connect offline on that. So, but if you can get Cursor on it and but all right. Well, I don't think we need to show any more software development stuff. I mean, it significantly exceeded anything I thought was possible.
Yeah, this is easily a high-level developer grade. I mean, hands down, there's not a question that is developer grade stuff, and I'd say better. It's like a blend or a hybrid of a developer and a website design expert. Like, wow.
So where did you build that on? Was it Claude 3.7? Like, how did you know that upgrade existed that it would be able to do that?
I pretty much live, breathe, and eat AI. So as soon as any AI comes out there, I know exactly what it. I mean, within hours. So my YouTube feed is all AI.
Okay.
So I'm always watching. Yeah, and like my X account, I have OpenAI, Claude, Grok. All of them are the people that I'm following. So that's how I find out about a lot of this stuff. Like even last night, when Sam Altman, who's the CEO of OpenAI, he's like 4.5 incoming, and I'm like 4.5. I didn't even know that was on the radar. Let's go take a peek at that. And
Cool.
all of these companies are racing to be the biggest and baddest in this industry. Because as you're seeing here, this is just, I mean, yeah, I end up becoming speechless because I don't know how to articulate how awesome this is. Like the equivalent would be like if you went and spent, 40 years building a giant temple, then you watch some guy across the street do it in a day. Right? You're sitting there like, it just doesn't even seem possible. Like it doesn't even seem like, and again, I live and eat and breathe this stuff. Like what I'm showing you here, I had no idea I'd be showing this morning because I didn't really think it would be this far.
Yeah, my mind's actually blown. I'm almost like emotionally like stimulated to the point where I have to like take a break after this because like, and people who are watching this, I'm sure are going to be equally like, wow.
Well, yeah, 'cause again, even just going to the software development stuff, right? And again, this is a world that Aaron and I have lived for. I mean, I've been doing software development for 20 years with, I'm more of I talk to the client, I know what it does, and I make sure I deliver. Project manager. I'm more of a software development project manager than with just an experience inside of it. Just like if I was a project manager for construction, I know how a hammer's used, but I wouldn't be able to build a building by hammering it together, right? But yeah, this stuff just seeing this stuff here is like this is how most people think software development goes. I just go talk to a developer and they add the chat thing and we're good to go, right? But it is not how it has ever been, ever. It's just normally you have to manually type each one of those lines. And if you ever worked with Excel and made a big formula, normally Excel formulas are maybe 5 rows long, right? Well, in coding, you're building 1,500 line formulas that all have to work perfectly or the whole thing breaks. Like I can I can delete one character out of this and this whole website will break. Which is why it just needs to be that perfect to see this just do it like that is just that's top shelf stuff. But so
like,
is there
how
anything
does
that
how
Oh,
does
go ahead.
it pick like those forms? Like it just kind of picked everything that you would need. Like you just said, take it from a consumer database to a business one. Like what is it
Well, it is
pulling from?
trained on
Must
the
have a lot
entire
of data.
summation of the world's data. So it has seen every information system out there. It has seen every social media one. It has seen every software. So I mean, it just knows. And if I
Okay,
ask it to
cool.
rebuild this 10 different times, it will build it differently 10 times.
Wow.
So it's not like finding a platform. I mean, it's doing the custom build. So yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording here.